All right, everybody, it looks like we are ready for the games to begin. Wonderful. Welcome to Game 1 of the EU circuit of this week's Deadlock Night Shift. Abrahams versus Leviathan again. So, by the way, for those that don't know, the way this particular tournament tends to work is the previous incumbent challenger, or I guess previous champion if they got knocked down, is guaranteed a decider match like this one to see if they're going to make their way to the finals to challenge the champions of the week. That's why Abrahams is back. As for Leviathan, they did have to play a decider match against another team. They obviously won, so here they are. In case you're wondering why it's Abrahams versus Leviathan, again, it's because these two teams just keep being the second and third best teams of the EU region consistently, while Buff Enjoyers continues to consistently be the best team of the EU region. Just a quick little explanation on what's going on there. So, getting right into it, Pocket and Doorman bans, pretty darn standard. That's been the standard for months at this point. And our first pick from Abrahams was Lash, responded by Leviathan with Rem and Mirage. So, Lash continues to be one of the decidedly highest tier gun / spirit kind of hybrid characters out there, with a leaning into the gun as the main thing. And it seems to have continued to work for a while. They haven't really nerfed it or anything, so Lash continues to see play, and he's doing pretty well at it. Leviathan pick up Rem as their first pick, and this is very uncommon. I want to take a moment to just talk about that. So the fact that Rem was picked up this darn early is very neat to see. So, Deadlock's very different from other MOBAs. Other MOBAs, you will either pick the really overpowered damage dealer, or you pick a support early on, because usually there's some sort of counter play available to your opponent. But there's not much counterplay available to your opponent when you're just picking supports. That being said, Deadlock doesn't have too much counterplay. There's not a lot of like one-to-one, if you pick this hero, then this hero ruins their lives going on in this particular game. So it's a lot more free for you to just pick up your core pickups, which is why we see core pickups focus so much in Deadlock. So seeing Rem being brought up to the top pick for Leviathan is very interesting. And I don't necessarily disagree with it. I think Rem's a very, very strong hero, and probably the best support in the game right now. Now, as for the other picks we've been seeing, we've got Mirage and Calico. Mirage there as a scaling gun carry, Calico there as a quick burst DPS, kind of a backline assassin style hero over on Leviathan, and they just pick up Bebop, who's got that long range hook capability. And then we have Abrahams have picked up Abrams as a frontline tank, McGinnis, who can be utility support, scaling gun carry, spirit build for her turrets. They got options over on the side of McGinnis, or just straight healer support with her very good heal. But the big thing that we usually see with McGinnis is high amounts of early game pressure onto towers and quick rotations into taking them. That's usually been her strongest use case. And then Abrahams pick up two heroes we don't see too often, Celeste and Mo and Krill. So Celeste used to be a pretty common pickup, but she got some nerfs thrown her direction, and now you don't see her much in the way of pro play. But the biggest thing to note is that she hasn't gotten any buffs or anything. Pancakes. Sorry about that. I gotta mute the pancakes. I don't know why they showed up so late. Thanks for the 100 bits. Anyway, sorry about that. Seeing Celeste is really uncommon. Whoa! Dynamo alert! Dynamo alert! Dynamo alert! The professor is in. Black hole is on the table. Okay. forget everything else I was talking about. Leviathan have a very relatively standard lineup. The only real weird thing out of their lineup is the fact that they valued Rem as one of their first phase picks. Meanwhile, on Abraham's, we got some weird stuff in their last 3 picks. So Celeste, as I was saying, not very commonly picked up. She is a spirit carry. She scales well with spirit. Her weapon does spirit damage. Her spells all do good spirit damage, and they amplify the amount of spirit damage her opponent takes. So she's a scaling spirit carry. She's very interesting. She's very floaty, too. So she can move around the map quickly. Mo and Krill, another tank slash initiator, who will do something similar to Abrams, only brings about the ultimate, his combo, in order to lock down a single target opponent for an extended period of time. And then Dynamo, who has the strongest ultimate in the game, the Black Hole. He dives into the enemy team and focuses himself as the singularity point to just pull every enemy within a pretty wide area in, and they are completely helpless for the duration of it, upwards of like 4 or 5 seconds. It's pretty long duration with, say, a duration extender, which if he hits targets and there is follow-up from his team, those targets should definitely die. Dynamo is the ultimate teamfight hero, and we don't see him too much in competitive play, mostly because outside of his ultimate, he's fine, but a little lackluster. So I'm really interested in how they're going to build Dynamo. There are 3 different ways to build him. You either build him for gun, because you can build anyone for gun and make them work pretty decently, for the most part. Or you build him for his stomp, which, man, we don't see Deadlock so much. We don't see Dynamo so much in Deadlock that I actually forget the name of that stomp. Kinetic Pulse, that's it, Kinetic Pulse. Because that's got a very long range, travels across the ground, and it does a very high amount of damage. Its only problem is it travels across the ground, so you can jump over it, so that's kind of a very dodgeable skill. Or you build him for the Singularity, his Black Hole, which is a lot of kind of utility items for him, larger AoE, larger duration, eventually a unstoppable so that they can't stun you out of it or anything like that, and you just build for, I'm gonna press this black hole and hopefully we win the team fight, because if we don't, I'm useless afterwards. Of course, eventually you get a refresher and such as well. And I'm really interested in seeing exactly what build they're going to go for Dynamo. I'm hoping they go for the Black Hole build. The only problem with doing so is that if you do that build, Dynamo does not do much between the very long cooldown of Black Hole. Black Hole is a long 250-second cooldown, a 4-minute cooldown between uses, which is probably the reason we don't see this hero too much, because while it's incredibly strong, it is also incredibly long cooldown. And generally in pro play right now for Deadlock, people are valuing a lot more capability to be active. So the more uptime your hero has, the higher they're going to be ranked on the tier list for pro play. If your hero's cooldowns are pretty darn short, then your hero has a pretty high chance of making their way into pro play, whereas when your cooldowns are relatively long, it's just a lot less common to see that hero. So Dynamo coming out, very interesting. Certainly not something we see too much. Sorry I'm harping on Abraham's picks so much, but Leviathan's picked nothing but a bunch of standard stuff. They're boring over on the side of Leviathan. Ugh. Oh, do we want to pick some fun heroes? Do we want to go out there with a Viper, or I don't know, maybe we're going to throw a Page Vindicta at them? No, we're going to pick all the standard stuff, and then Abraham's are like, we've got some fun picks this week. We got some fun picks for you guys. Now, I will point out something that can be a bit of a wombo combo. Lash ultimate into Dynamo ultimate. Lash pulls them up and throws them to Dynamo, and then Dynamo keeps them locked down. So this is kind of a pub combo. You're going to see them in public games, but you're not going to see that much in pro games because pro gamers pay very close attention to when Lash is throwing his ultimate, and he gives them like 3 seconds to get out of dodge, which is why in pro play, Lash ultimate always picks up one person, maybe two if you're lucky, and you're lucky if they actually get yoinked. More than likely what's going to happen is they're going to hide behind some geometry under a bridge or something, and they're not actually going to get pulled very far. Or, like I said, Lash gets one person. It's part of why I kept saying Lash is just not a very good hero for pro play or high tier play even in general, just because of how easy it is to counter his spells. And that's why the pivot was made. Lash nowadays is like, I have Flog and I have Gun. And I guess sometimes I have ultimate if I'm chasing you, but otherwise I have Flog and I have Gun. And of course, he's got the ability to whip himself forward so that he gets the extra little, what is it? I think it's 7 damage for 10 seconds when his grapple is +2. I believe it's only 7 weapon damage, which it applies to each bullet, so... And it scales with extra weapon damage increase and stuff, so it works fine. It helps. I do think it could even be a little better than it is right now, but considering Lash is currently succeeding in pro play to the point that he's getting lots of picks, I guess it's fine. Like, his early and mid-game strengths are very pronounced. Sure, he doesn't scale quite so well into the late game as other gun carries, but most Deadlock games don't last to the late game. They end sometime in the more mid-game portions at around 30 minutes, usually at the latest. If the game goes beyond 30 minutes, that's kind of long compared to usual Deadlock game durations. So you don't really need that late game scaling quite so much. So I can't really call it a problem for Lash's grapple to only give +7 weapon damage, but, you know. It's one of those numbers that's so darn small, you feel like, oh, that's nothing. But in the early to mid-game, it's absolutely impactful, and you can definitely feel it when every single volley of burst fire, that he shoots out is doing that bonus. Now, as for the side of Leviathan, I do want to point out their big strategy seems to be pick-offs, while Abraham's big strategy seems to be teamfight. And I think that teamfight is just the better strategy in Deadlock than pick-off. Pick-off can work, especially if your opposing team is set up with heroes that don't really want to, like, death ball together and want to split apart and either split push, split farm, stuff like that. Then the pick-off strategy works a lot better because you can easily find heroes by themselves. And the heroes that want to do the pick-off on the side of Leviathan are Drifter, Calico, even Bebop, but Bebop's more of a pull them to you than go to them kind of guy. But they've got half of their team dedicated to finding one unit, pouring all their damage into it, having probably at least one teammate with you, and trying to get that kill. We'll be seeing how successful they are once we're in the game in just a moment. All right, now we're properly into game number 1 of Abrahams versus Leviathan. We've got some very interesting picks coming out of Abrahams, picks that we are not particularly common to see in the pro game circuit, I should say. And for our mid lane, we have a McGinnis and a Mo facing off against a Mirage and a Calico. I'd say that the Mirage Calico lane is mostly there to try and survive for the time being. And when it comes to which lane I think has an easier time, I'd say the McGinnis and the Mo lane have a slightly easier time at just surviving. McGinnis's turrets are going to provide plenty of pressure in this early game section the laning stage, and her gun allows her to push very, very quickly, so a lot of the pressure should be on the Calico and the Mirage. Although there is a Rem currently box running beneath them, there is a possibility he comes up and maybe throws his hat in the ring for a little bit of assistance and counterplay. Mostly the counter-pushing capability. But so far, it looks like all he's doing is box running. Meanwhile, on the left side of the map, we have Lash Dynamo facing off against Drifter and Bebop. I want to say Drifter, Bebop have a lot of kill potential in this lane. But there is also the fact that Dynamo can always use the Quantum Entanglement in order to get himself or Lash out of a sticky situation. And on top of that, he has that Rejuvenating Aura. Oh, Rejuvenating Aurora, even, to heal himself and the Lash back up. And at least early on, it looks like Headhunter has been queued up on the side of Dynamo, and a similar thing will be happening for Lash, I believe, after this this quick little Mystic Burst. So, at least our early stages will be a little bit of gun build for Dynamo. And I'd say that's fine, and as he is leveling up Kinetic Pulse, it looks like it's going to be a Stomp build. Kinetic Pulse will be the first thing thrown out there, and it looks like Lash will get killed as Dynamo does a small box run. Had a bomb thrown on him, Stalker's Mark hit from the Drifter, and that death, along with Dynamo rotating out, was really painful for the lane. They lost over half of their Guardian's life in such a short period. That's really difficult. All right, and we haven't looked at the right side lane. Let's go take a peek over there right now. We have Abrams laning with Celeste, facing off against their opponents in lane, Lady Geist and Rem. Geist Rem absolutely have the advantage in this lane. They are incredibly hard to kill. There's tons of survivability between the two of them. And as long as they don't run up to Abrams and get shoulder tackled into a wall for a stun, they should be perfectly fine at just surviving their way through the lane and not taking any deaths. There will be a little bit of pressure coming their way, more than likely. But once they've gotten a few levels in them, like they have right now, then I think the lane starts to turn a lot more in their favor. They're just extremely difficult to kill. And so they can leverage that survivability into aggressive pushing. McGinnis taking a fair bit of damage. A lot of pressure coming down from Mirage, shooting at her. This is a little bit of the danger of facing Mirage in lane, is that once he's got a couple of small items, he just keeps plugging away at you, and he keeps healing. Bebop, pretty low right now. So Dynamo got killed, Lash got a counter kill, and almost two even. Bebop forced to retreat. I see Celeste making her way over toward the mid lane, throwing a little extra damage down toward the Guardian and poking at the Mirage a bit, but that's it. And a quick leave from her. It was not enough to keep their pressure on the mid lane as Mo and Krill is dead. Sleep coming down onto Abrams. He's taking a snooze. And he's basically dead here. So much damage from the Celeste. Down to double-digit HP. Drops the big elbow onto the Rem. And a pillow is going to put him to bed. Meanwhile, on the other side of the map, it looks like Bebop got taken down in a big brawl. This is actually a great trade for Abrahams. 2v3, they get the first kill. And sure, it's a one-for-one trade, but Abrahams are going to be feeling good about that, especially as they follow it up with Mo and Krill sliding on in to help take down the Drifter. We do have a slight lead in favor of Leviathan coming out of the laning stage right now, but things are pretty darn even. Abrams coming in from behind. Life swap from Geist onto Abrams, and the shoulder tackle will not hit. Geist already too high in the air for that. So looking over at this mid lane, there's so many rotations going on that it seems Abrahams have really lost the plot here, whereas Mirage has just been sitting here the whole time, and he has been clipping away at the opponents in lane and doing just a little bit of damage here and there to the Guardian, to the point that it is now in favor of Leviathan in terms of Guardian damage. Calico teleporting over, running very quickly, rotating toward the back. They don't see this coming.
I may want to get back to the group.
Gets the parry, diving over. Can they catch up? Kind of hard to. Celeste very floaty and very mobile because gravity doesn't affect her fully. Okay, in the meantime, because they left Mirage alone, it is going to wind up costing them that mid lane Guardian. They will take the right side Guardian as a trade. Game continues to stay mostly even, but just a little bit of advantage cropping up here and there on the side of Leviathan. Man, this Moe and Curl pick has not paid off well for them. And we've got Calico looking for Celeste, but Celeste is just too darn floaty. She's in the air for too long for Calico to catch up. And Quantum Entanglement is going to allow the Dynamo to get himself up there. Immediate grab onto the urn by Drifter. This is what I like to see. Fast, objective-based gameplay.
I don't want to be caught up in vampire squabbles.
Meanwhile, on the left side of the map, they're diving in kind of aggressively toward this Bebop. Moe and Krill getting the dig off. Not quite a lot of damage. Quantum Entanglement is going to keep Dynamo healthy, prevent him from death. And it seems that both sides are going to just back off. Abrams on the right side tried to contest a little bit of the urn, and he is getting chased down hard. In fact, I'm pretty sure Abrams is about to die. Down he goes. Too much pressure coming from the Drifter and the Geist. McGinnis trying to chase Drifter down, and Geist is going to rotate over to help out. Drifter is not going to teleport behind McGinnis, and it looks like she will be getting out, and so will he. Meanwhile, it looks like Moe and Krill latched a combo ultimate off onto the Mirage and got a kill for his team. Nice hook into a bomb. Just going to tickle Moe and Krill a little bit, though. I really wonder exactly what Moe and Krill's plans for builds are. I kind of like getting Trophy Collector on him. I know it's not quite as good in professional games, so that's probably why we're not seeing it here. But I don't know. It feels like Moe can fall very far behind in terms of net worth without one of those money-cheating items, such as the Trophy Collector. By the way, Moe jumped in to hit a Scorn and took so much damage from Drifter. 1,000 damage? God dang.
Don't let Bebop hook you.
That's insane.
I see the enemy.
Dynamo misses the stomp on Rem, and Dynamo's dead. Dynamo's very dead. Caught in no man's land and chased down. Leviathan have brought more than enough heroes here, so Dynamo was trying to get a jump in from behind it. Looks like we're actually going to have a fight for the Rift here. Ultimate from Rem comes down, putting Abrams to sleep, and he will be going down very quickly. Mole Man diving around behind, Celeste floating up on top, threw her ultimate out already. Actually, her ultimate wasn't even up for this fight. She's going to be taken down. It is so far Leviathan crushing. Calico brought low, though. Can they finish the kitty cat? Huge ultimate over the top from Dynamo is going to grab the Geist and the Drifter. Killing off Drifter. Geist has been brought low. Lash ultimate doesn't actually hit anyone important. Mirage diving in. So much damage coming down on top of this Dynamo. Plenty of damage coming down onto the McGinnis, and it looks like McGinnis is going to lose this fight versus Calico. No! Lash drops in and finishes the Calico off. The Rift is not taken. The fight continues. Backing off by the Geist and the Rem. On the other side, Dynamo taken down by Mirage's constant barrage of damage. And finally, they will disengage from each other with a McGinnis wall. Abrams charge onto the Drifter. They're just going to back away from each other. All right, we have a 5K net worth lead in favor of Leviathan coming out of the laning stages, and out of neither side really getting the advantage on the Rift there. Both sides did fine to not get bullied out of the area, but neither side was able to take the heavy advantage and, you know, win the Rift for themselves. Moen Krill currently has combo off cooldown. He must be looking for a target. Unfortunately, nobody giving him the opportunity over here on the right side of the map, so instead, maybe he's going to head toward that middle lane where Bebop is making his presence known. Wait, there's a Calico in the area. No? Okay. They're just going to secure this bridge buff for the time being. Casting buff available. Lash will take it, and on the other side, Celeste took the survivability buff. That's it. Ooh, Lash popping a kill over onto Geist very quickly with the assistance of his teammates. Moen Krill brought low. Lash is going to grapple his way out of there. Very fast movement. It's going to be a 1-for-1 trade, I'd say, in favor of the side of Abrahams. They lost a Moen Krill for a Geist. That is a great trade. Moen Krill is essentially a support, whereas Geist is definitely one of the scaling cores that Leviathan want to continue farming the map and getting strong. Abrams is currently running the urn over to the left side of the map, and McGinnis is currently getting dove on the left side of the map, and she's gonna die and left a 500 soul bag for the side of Leviathan to take. Abrams is charging in, has more than enough backup and damage to take down the Drifter. Gonna deposit the urn, and only a 3K net worth difference now. Chase from Moen Krill, not gonna continue. Geist coming in from behind, not gonna actually fight. It looks like something's gonna happen, not gonna happen.
Let's go to York.
It happens way too often in these games. Potential action over here in the mid lane. Moen Krill looks like he ate a bit of a hook and eventually a death from the real roaming squad on the side of Leviathan comes in the form of both the Drifter and the Calico. And if those two are together, they are very dangerous. All right, Dazzling Trick has been popped. No more shield for Celeste. She is still full HP. Chase down, going from Celeste toward the Drifter. Nobody is all that worse for wear, though. Everybody walks away with almost full HP. Mirage in the area. Coming from behind. Will Lash dive onto him? Just gonna throw some gunshots his way. Being like, hey, you're not alone, Mirage. Abrams finding Calico, or maybe Calico finding Abrams. There's the knockdown with Abrams getting chased by everyone here. I don't think he survives. No, he doesn't. Far too much damage from those three heroes coming out. damage and control, because every time Abrams tried to move himself out of the way, there was a pillow from Rem to knock him up and stop his movement. Drifter, perhaps finding his mark onto Celeste. A huge hook by Bebop, pulling her way out of position. She's going to try to float her way back to safety, and a Quantum Entanglement will keep her alive for now. Big drop down from Lash, and a ton of damage coming through to Drifter. He will eventually be killed. Lash coming through with another knock up onto the Rem. That's 2 heroes down, and that's a call for mid-boss.
Keep this up. A green walker is under attack.
Saving Private Celeste was successful on the side of Abrahams, and it looks like they're going to even things up. Will Leviathan contest this? It's hard to say that they should. They don't have the ability to send Geist over too easily. All right, Mirage plugging some damage in. Here comes the Bebop. Lash Ultimate's going to pull Bebop out of the area, and a huge black hole is going to hit everyone that comes into contest, and contesting mid-boss against Dynamo proving to be a bad idea. It's going to cost them the Calico and the Mirage. They will get nothing. Bebop might even go down as well. Looks like he'll be fine for now, but still. 2 key heroes lost in the scuffle for mid-boss. All of the Rejuvenator pickups go in favor of Abrahams, and all of a sudden, Abrahams have gotten a lead for the first time in the game.
Be blessed.
Hashtag blessed. Flash grabs the Void creeps the Void Troopers for the left lane, immediately gets the urn, and they're gonna just run that thing on over.
All right, you oaf. Try not to get us both killed.
They got rid of those Void Troopers instantly. Uh-oh, Stalker's Mark onto McGinnis. She drops down the Healing Spectre. It looks like she'll be fine. Drifter pops the ultimate just for safety more than anything. He, I guess, had a feeling that there was going to be a bit of a rotation coming his way. McGinnis pushing very aggressively right now. Mirage popping the ultimate in order to protect this Walker over on the left side of the map. The right side of the map, though, that's where the real pressure comes down, as Celeste, Lash, and Mo all push very heavily. Rotation toward mid from McGinnis is going to start applying pressure alongside Dynamo. Turrets going down. Calico trying to stop the push, but this is not a stand and deliver kind of composition on the side of Leviathan. This is more of a hit and run composition. And so when the side of Abrahams is grouped up like this, it is difficult to try and jump in and start a fight. Like I said at the pick and ban stage, I just think that when it comes to the strategy, it is a lot easier to play a group up and team fight strategy and make it succeed than a split apart and pick off strategy. And we're really seeing the tides turn heavily in favor of Abrahams ever since the group up team fights started to happen. Leviathan just has a lot of difficulty contesting objectives when all of Abrahams are in the area and they have their ultimates available. Especially because this guy right here, Dynamo, who has picked up a relatively early unstoppable, once his ultimate is popped, it is not stopping for the full duration, a full 3.5 seconds. Which is not a short period of time to lock enemies down in a relatively large area. What's the AoE on this right now? Let me take a look. 9 meters radius? Kind of small for now. He could get a, he could do for a Mystic expansion.
See the enemy.
Ultimate popped by the Drifter. It's not going to lead to anything. Maybe just using it for a bit of mobility and a bit of spooking the enemy. Once that darkness falls, it doesn't matter if Drifter is anywhere near you or not. You immediately go, uh-oh. It makes the alarm bells ring. So maybe using it just to force that kind of reaction out of the enemy team. Slow them down in a way.
The streets are mine.
Drifter combo from Mo and Krill, and the gun damage coming through from the McGinnis just shreds him. Holy. Right now, it is looking just all hands on deck need to make something happen on the side of Leviathan because Abrahams have all of the momentum in their favor. Every ultimate currently up except for Mo and Krill's, which means that the next objective to spawn on the map at 25 minutes will easily go the way of Abrahams, or at least it should. Like, look at where Leviathan is on the mini-map. They are all on their own side of the map, while Abrahams is all pressuring toward the enemy side of the map.
Let's take out Drifter.
Drifter playing a little bit of tag with McGinnis, does about half of McGinnis's health and damage. Pretty successful game of tag for him, but there's plenty of healing coming out from the Dynamo and even from the McGinnis herself. So she's already back to near full. Urn picked up by Abrahams. Celeste currently running it. Drifter expects someone to come through here. It is Mo and Krill, not the easiest target for him to try to fight. Pop the ultimate, a very fast rotation. Does not latch with the Stalker's Mark onto Celeste. Gets chased away. There's a Calico sitting in the area, not doing anything. She's only 20k net worth now. She's pretty useless. That's a free urn. Yeah, she'll get a couple of those orbs, but nothing to write home about. More advantage going the way of Abrahams.
Let's take out Abram.
Right now, what's happening is the teams are waiting for mid-boss to spawn. As in, Abrahams is waiting for mid-boss to spawn, and Leviathan is likely to contest it, lose the fight, and then Abrahams just wins the game. As long as Abrahams brings all of their heroes, as they do have all ultimates and resources available, it should be pretty free for them, even with all heroes alive on the side of Leviathan. But despite that, they find themselves a Drifter first, chase him down, and a combo onto Geist. Can they kill her in time? They do kill her in time. The Rem ultimate stopped by Abrams, and it is just a massacre. Half the team killed. They don't even need to force the mid-boss. They've got themselves the pickoffs. They will be taking the mid-boss, no problem. But first, somebody's got to stop this Mirage. Well, never mind. Wow, that Walker just exploded from the Mirage's passive. All right, mid-boss should be free. Mirage might walk himself over, but that would be silly. He's going to just kind of throw some shots, and then, yeah, he's teleporting out of there. He's out of there. Dynamo from behind. Is Dynamo going to pop the ultimate on Mirage? I think it would be worth it, honestly. Here comes Lash. Tornado to dodge. Mirage will be fine. Calico, on the other hand, potentially getting caught by Mo and Krill. There's the Burrow doing insane damage alongside of the McGinnis. Wall catches her right on the edges. Calico will die. Beautiful, beautiful wall by McGinnis. While the net worth lead is only a 7K differential in favor of Abrahams, it feels a lot bigger than that. Just because their team scales so incredibly well into these objective-focused team fighting situations. All right, this walker will be going down in the mid lane. The Guardians for the base are going to be going down as well. Still got 3 rejuvenators for half of their duration in favor of Abrahams. I'm pretty sure this game is 99% in their favor to win from this position. In fact, 99% might be underselling it. It's probably 99.9%. Calico getting chased by Abrams and Mo. She will be able to get out.
Catch me if you can.
Taking a look. Okay, Dynamo did go for an ultimate build more than anything else. In fact, here it comes. Unstoppable ultimate. The black hole catches 2 cores. They will be getting killed. And that's through Geist having cheat death. The lockdown is too much. Down goes the Geist. Down goes the Mirage. Down goes the Shrine. And the side of Abrahams is no worse for wear. They'll be healing back up relatively easily. Okay, Abrams is a little bit low. He took a tickle. He's just gonna pop this respawn. He wants to be full health. It is pretty low duration at this point, so if ever there was a time to respawn and you use the rejuvenator, now's the time. Chase down onto this drifter who tried to get a little cheeky with Abrams, but the full team is here. Abrahams is just banging on all cylinders. Perfect teamwork, perfect team fights, perfect hair. They're too beautiful to be defeated. Abrahams are going to take this game without much issue. It's all over but the formalities. Up. BM pause. BM pause. Well played by Abrahams. I do think that they definitely had the advantage when it comes to team compositional strategy. It's just so much easier to play a game in Deadlock where you are focused on objectives and team fights. So much easier to win when you are just a team fight based composition. You've got lockdown on your team. You got big spells to help with the team fights. And that's after Leviathan had a great early game. They were ahead. They had a lot of momentum through that first 15 minutes in their favor, but the problem came once the team fight started. Eventually, somebody got picked off, and then Leviathan had to make a decision of, do we contest the mid-boss or do we let them take it? And when they contested that first mid-boss, there's a Lash ultimate to protect it. There's an Abrams ultimate to protect it. There's a McGinnis Wall to protect it. There's a Dynamo Black Hole, the best spell in the game, to protect it. And they wind up giving up not only all 3 rejuvenators, but a couple of key core kills. And all the momentum just shifts in favor of the team fight team as the big objectives start becoming something to contest for them. And from that point forward, it was just Abrahams. All momentum in favor of Abrahams as Leviathan were like sharking around the corners. They're like, can I dive in on them? No, they got a partner here. Can I dive in over here? No, they got somebody over there. The map is too small for these heavy pickoff focused lineups to easily make plays. Can they make plays? Yes. Can they win games? Yes. But they have a more difficult time. Compared to, all right, we're all bunched up. Okay, there's the objective. We need to control this objective. How do we do it? Dynamo. Go ahead and press your ultimate. They can't contest it if we press your ultimate. They have to come up close and melee the thing. Congratulations. We own it because there's a Dynamo ultimate. It's part of the reason why I'm a little surprised we don't see Dynamo a little more often. Maybe not every single game or anything like that, but I do think that Dynamo is a hero to sprinkle in here and there a little more than he gets sprinkled in right now. Right now he gets like 1 game per month, maybe. I think he can earn himself a spot to be like, you know, a game every week or so. Just because of how powerful that black hole is and the fact that it lets you own mid-boss for the most part. That's the real big strength of it. Mid-boss is such a powerful objective to take that being able to prevent your opponents from contesting it once the crystal starts falling is super strong. Sure, it makes Dynamo have to just kind of not have the threat of the black hole for a few minutes, but the Rejuvenator lasts long enough that it can replace the threat of the black hole, and you can just do your plays off the back of the Rejuvenator and the rest of the heroes, because only Dynamo really has to commit that ultimate. And if the enemy team does dive in and try to contest, by the time they dive in, either the black hole is already going and they have no contest and you're just going to get some free kills, or you have all 3 of the Rejuvenators already in your pocket, and sure, you don't have black hole, but you have 3 extra lives for your team, and that's a great position to be in. So, by all accounts, Dynamo having that impact over mid-boss means that he's a hero we should be seeing a little more often. And Abraham showed it off beautifully in this particular game by just demanding that the enemy team either give up mid-boss or contest them. And the moment they contested, there's a black hole waiting for them. Leviathan taken down once more by Abrahams. Another week of Abrahams winning the competitor's seat for the best of 3 up against Buff Enjoyers, who have, well, they've been the top dogs for months. Week after week after week, Buff Enjoyers continues winning over on the side of EU, and Abrahams is usually their competitor. Last week, Abrahams did give them a run for their money, especially in the first game, almost turning a massive disadvantage into a victory. This week, we're going to see if Abrahams can pull out maybe some new strategies, maybe a miracle. Who knows what it's going to take, but after the break, we'll be coming back to Buff Enjoyers versus Abrahams to see if Buff Enjoyers can defend their title for another week.